Hi everyone, this is Kim with Abundant Life Tarot, and we are talking about my Tarot Taboos tag video. This is a video response to Two Rocks Tarot, and she did the original hashtag video, which I will link in the description box below, called My Tarot Taboos. And I love these kind of videos because it gets to the heart of who we are as people and who we are as readers and metaphysicians. So let's go on and get into my tarot taboos. One of my biggest ones is that I primarily, I'd say 90 to 95% of the time, almost exclusively, I work with jumping cards. So my readings tend to go longer, A, because I talk a lot, and B, because I use jumpers primarily. I feel like when I'm allowing the jumpers to come, whether I'm doing a tarot spread or not, when the cards are jumped for that particular question or that spread question, if you will, I just find that it's accurate. It works for me. That's how I communicate with spirit, and that's what works for me. So I know, some people, they will spread the cards out on the table and they'll pick, or some will just, pick from the top or pick from the bottom or whatever that works for them. But for me, I like jumpers. So for my readings, I usually let people know if it was an hour-long reading, please bear in mind that you're not going to be getting up out of my space for like another 10 minutes because I'm going to shuffle and have all the cards jump. People don't seem to mind, and it works. So that's one of my tarot taboos. Another tarot taboo of mine is I buy my own decks, and I prefer to buy my own decks. I did have one person, a friend of mine, she bought a deck for me, and it worked. It worked out nicely, and I was worried though, because I'm like, oh, if someone gets it, what if I don't like the deck? What if it doesn't work for me? But the purpose that I'm using the deck for, it's working great. But I like to buy my own decks. Sometimes I have expensive taste when it comes to decks. Now, I do have the mass-produced decks, and so if someone got me a mass-produced deck, I'm not going to balk at it. I'm going to probably try to use it and try to connect with it. But yeah, for my collection, I have a higher taste level, and I'm picky when it comes to a certain dollar amount for a deck. So if someone came back to me and gave me a deck that I was kind of vibing, but I just wasn't compelled to pay for it in the first place, and then they bought it, and it's really high end, and I still try to use it, and I still don't connect with it, that would bum me out. Now I got to sell it or trade it or feel bad that I'm giving it up. I don't know. I never bought into the whole, you have to be gifted your tarot or your tarot deck or your oracle deck. I never bought into that kind of stuff because it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense. So not buying into it. So there you have it. Another tarot taboo of mine is that the whole third party reading thing. And I loved how Two Rocks Tarot spoke about that in her video, which is, people have questions that are going to involve other people. So I too, I'm like her. I'm like, I never quite understood, like, what's the big deal? Like, if you're like, hey, I wonder if this person is right for me, and if they're going to move out of the country next month, and then you ask questions or whatever surrounding that. To me, there's nothing wrong with that. Like Two Rocks Tarot mentioned in her video, it becomes an issue probably if you're starting to now get up all into that other person's life, asking questions that really only the other person should be asking. Like she mentioned, like, oh, how much money are they going to make? Are they going to be making love to somebody else? I mean, you're teetering there. But if you're asking about, how someone else's actions is going to affect the querent's life, I don't see anything wrong with that. And I do third-party readings. So if that's what we're talking about here, maybe it's something different. Maybe it's not quite that. I don't know. I don't care. I go with what feels right to me when I'm doing readings. And if a question comes up that I don't feel comfortable answering, I let them know. If there is a question I feel like answering, or I feel like I can with the interpretation of the cards and my intuition, I will. Bottom line. So yeah, that's that. Let's see. Thinking about it. Okay. Oh, I also didn't do like hundreds and hundreds of free readings for others before I started charging for readings. That's another tarot taboo of mine. My time is very valuable, as is everybody else's. And so it's important for me to be compensated, because if I'm not compensated, I should probably be getting a second job to pay for the things I need to pay for. So it's either tarot is my second job, which is a passion of mine and I want to do all the time, full time, or I go and do something else. I'm pretty sure my paying clients would prefer that I do tarot versus me trying to go get a second job. So I get doing free readings. I did a lot of free readings for family, for friends, for colleagues. And then I started to get turned off on them. And then I started seeing people doing them on the Facebook groups. And I thought, oh, that's a cool thing. That's really cool. It's just not good for me. It's not a fit for me on how to give and offer free readings. But more power to the folks that works for. I just know for me, I didn't feel like I needed to do that to be able to say, I'm ready to now take readings to the next level and go that direction. There were other clues that were signaling to me when it was time to move forward. So there you have it. Let's see. I do readings. I did start out doing readings for myself, as many people do. So another tarot taboo of mine is I did lots of readings for myself. It was why I went from being just a patron of tarot readings and like getting tarot readings at different points in my life to becoming someone who was doing readings for themselves. And I had questions that needed quick answers, and I needed serious questions answered. So it was more like a counseling tool for me. I did lots of readings for myself. Then I started doing readings for relatives, and then I went to friends, and then I branched out to coworkers, and then finally to strangers. Yay! So I did have a progression. It's just, yeah, I don't believe in that myth or whatever you want to call old tarot wives' tale that I had to A, do hundreds of free readings for people, and B, that I can't do readings for myself, that it doesn't count. Now, with that being said, I will say that I prefer having others do readings for me, so I will probably reach out to somebody, to people I've seen or who have offered me free readings, where we might do an exchange like individually, one-on-one. Because I like an objective view when I'm getting a reading. So if I'm doing a reading for myself, about 8 out of 10 times I can be really objective and keep it real with myself. And then there's times where I need a reading from someone else. So I might do a reading exchange there. Or oftentimes I pay for readings. If I want to have what's done onto me, which is people compensating me for my time and energy, I want to do the same for others. But it's either going to be bartering or it's going to be payment. I don't really like to be on the other end, taking and not giving. I don't know. It's just kind of a thing with me. Maybe it's an Aquarian thing. I don't know. Let's see. All of my readings, I'd say about 9 out of 10 times are online. I am more so an introverted person. Probably hard to believe because I have a YouTube channel, but I recharge and get strong again and get ready for the world by having quiet time. And so YouTube actually makes sense for me, or a person like me, because when I'm in crowds, because I'm empathic, I pick up on everything. I pick up on so many different people's energies. On a trip that I went recently with some girlfriends, I went to Cabo, San Lucas, Mexico, and the girlfriend who I was rooming with, she got very ill. Even though I wasn't ill, and even though I ended up giving her some privacy and moving out of the room, and it was a villa, so it was large. I could be in one part of the villa and not hear anyone at all. So I moved, but I can still, all night long, viscerally feel everything she was going through. It was too much. And that's just one person. So you can imagine constantly that happening, and I'm still learning how to manage that, even in this late stage of my life. But I like online readings. I like connecting with people in this medium, in this way. I find it amazing that we can, and that someone can give me some, their question, give me some information about themselves or not, and then I can then energetically tap into what's going on with them, do the cards, read the cards, interpret them, and then say a message that resonates. It just blows my mind, and I love that. In-person readings I will do, but it's not my preference. You know what I like about online readings is being able to, if I'm not able to sleep at like 2 in the morning, I wake up, and as opposed to tossing and turning, I have a reading that I could start on. I'm in my pajamas, I flip on my camera, and I hit record and start answering the question. I love that. I love that freedom. And I don't buy into the whole, again, I'm all about vibrations, energies, connection, universal connection. So of course it makes sense that online readings would work for me and work for the people who are attracted to my type of readings. So yeah, I'm just looking at my notes here. I do clear and cleanse my table before and after. Unless it's for a family member, sometimes I will do it then too. It's not hard and fast. I like to clear with some Palo Santo and cleanse like my energies and my kind of like, sometimes I might be bringing in some frustrations from my day. I don't want to bring that to the reading. So a way that I kind of sink into the moment is with my Palo Santo, lighting my candles, and preparing and getting ready for the reading. Mulling over their questions. Sometimes I handwrite their question. I'm a writer, so handwriting really stimulates a certain part of my brain. Or I'll print their question and I highlight it and just kind of sit with it, meditate with it. So I do have a process that I do with my readings. And then when it's over, I do clear again with some Palo Santo. I rarely use white sage anymore because it's too much. It's just too much for living with a bunch of people in my house. They just get all kind of stuff like, oh, it's a fire going on. It's like, no, it's not. And everybody's a little on high alert in California, because of the fires and stuff. So I get it. So a little Palo Santo. Sometimes if it's super hot in the day, I'll just spritz my Palo Santo smudge spray and call it good. But I have to symbolically go through that process. I've had readings where after it's done and over and I just jump up and move about my day, I feel so energetically drained, like I can't go on anymore. I'm tired. I don't even know why. And then I realized, I kind of carried their energies on with me, and they were going through some stuff. So then I'm like, let me go meditate, let me go cleanse my energies and gently and lovingly release their energies back to them. And I use my Palo Santo. This is what works for me. What's beautiful about our practice and tarot is you can, and just the metaphysical world, you can do whatever feels good to you. And that's what I like about what we've got going here. This is what works and what does it for me. And then after I'm done with my clearing and cleansing, I bounce up, I move on with my day and my life, and we move on to the next reading. And then finally, my last topic is for my tarot taboo is where I have my reading space. So my reading space is not, I mean, it is in a designated space, which is the dining room. And it's not as private as I would like, but what I do and what my family is so kind enough to do is I say, hey guys, I have a paid reading. Can you please do your comings and goings when you get it done so I can have some privacy. So my family has been very accommodating with that. But eventually I would like a designated room. So when my oldest moves out, which he's hoping to do within the next, so many months, then I will move into his room and have a closed door for my readings. But this is good. I have the dining room area, which was a sacrifice for my family that they made for me. And I appreciate that they made that sacrifice for me. We don't do formal dining rooms anyway, so it kind of made sense. It would have been dead space if we tried to just toss a dining room table in here. But instead, it's where I've got my crystals that I sell. It's where I have my reading table. It's got my board. One of these days I should do like a tour of my new agey spots in my home. And I have my shelf that I keep all my working decks. That's right near my reading table. I have my whiteboard that I put up video ideas, and my vision board is there. I have a little bench, so my kids can pile there and chat with me about their day as I, check my laptop or my emails and get caught up on life. Or I move my computer and then I do readings here, or I play with my stones here. So I don't have a traditional setup either. And I'm not going to pay a brick and mortar spot to do readings. I like the freedom of doing readings from home. Even if I lived in an apartment, I'm going to make it work from home. Just saying, I'm a homebody. I have one more thing to add to my tarot taboos. I had to change angles because I was going to switch angles for another video. One more taboo that I do that I don't have a problem with is for my oracle decks, some of my oracle decks in readings that I do for others, I do read the guidebook from. Like when I am intuitively called to look at the guidebook, I look at the guidebook. To even just say a key word that may have been stumped on my mind. I don't consult guidebooks for readings for tarot, because tarot is a system, it's a structure that many of us are, they're versed in. And so I can call upon my experience with knowing the meanings and my intuitive hits. But some guidebooks for oracle are demanding of themselves to actually be read. Like some decks call for it. Like you do a disservice to the reading if you didn't incorporate the guidebook. I am very much a huge fan of oracle decks. I love oracle just as much, if not more, than tarot, because sometimes I like the less rigid structure of the oracle. But on the other hand, that's also what I appreciate about the tarot, is the structure of the 78 card meanings. So I just thought that that was one that I wanted to throw out there, because you hear all the time, don't ever have the guidebook. Yes, for tarot, for sure. For many oracles, yes, you don't need the guidebook. You really don't. You actually are hurting your readings with it. But there are those small instances, and I can't think of the decks right now, but there's like one or two where I'm like, I want to do this, I want to use this particular deck for this client because I'm intuitively called to share this deck with them, but I'm going to read a passage from the guidebook. And I just say it like that. I'm called to read a passage for you, and Spirit is telling me to do that. I listen to my intuition, and all the time my clients are like, oh my gosh, I don't know how you knew, but I needed to hear that. And there you go. So that's finally my last tarot taboo that I feel the need to speak on. I know there's tons. I know there's tons out there. But these are the ones that kind of are always on my mind, because I'm always like doing or not doing something, which is found in these videos. So let me know, you guys, what are some of your tarot taboos that you do or don't do? And if you did this tag video, please let me know in the comments box so I can check you out and check out your videos. And I just want to thank you all so much for watching and coming along this tarot journey with me. Much love, many blessings. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.